I was brought up in Glasgow, married, went down with my husband to a job in Lancashire, and after 3 years away and 2 children, I returned to Scotland. At that point, my husband got a post as a probation officer in Fife, and we were allocated to a house in Beatty Avenue, Glenrothes. By then, we had already linked up with St Margaret's Church, as it was the first church in the town, and at that point was under the Reverend Wallace Shaw, an American. As I knew his country and he knew mine, he and I worked together well, and between us we set up Operation Friendship to encourage teenagers over 16 to exchange with other young church teenagers in America. It was a wonderful opportunity for our youth in the 60s. I had by this time moved out into the village of Milton of Balgony, and many of the Americans stayed with us and joined in the activities of the new town Glenrothes and the growing churches. Operation Friendship enriched our town for many years, and by that time I and my family had become so involved with the new town, spending every day travelling up and down with the children to school, to Sunday school, and then when I got my first job as teacher in Carlton School, we decided it was time to find a house in the town where I have now lived for 45 years. I love my town, and I have no intentions of living anywhere else until I'm wheeled out. But then I started to ask myself, why do I feel this? Well, religiously, of course. I'm a Christian, and as I'd watched the other churches grow up, I realised what a big part Christianity was playing in the town and could play, caring, loving, helping, and every church opening its doors to old, young, and the community. And then, politically, I suppose, I've been a socialist all my life, so the way the town was developing was something I was happy to relate to and participate in. But I suppose more particularly educationally. Before I got the job at Carlton School, I offered accommodation to the French and German students working in the high school, as I had more rooms than most in those early days. Then I spent 6 years in primary and nursery and parental liaison in Carlton School before getting my own headship in Perth. I remember at my interview being asked if I would be coming to live in Perth, and I said, indeed not. I was not going to move away from my town, and I continued travelling there every day. At the same time, continuing to run the big Sunday school and encouraging my children and their friends to join in the town events. Happily now, I have to say, we have churches together, a unity group that works with all the denominations and the YMYWCA. I became secretary and then took over the chair, and still to this day I am St Margaret's representative at the meetings. I have travelled to Bublingen and entertained their reps here on several occasions and initiated St Margaret's partnership with a church in Sri Lanka. Although their minister and his youth worker had visited here at my request, my friend and I were the first from the churches of Scotland in Glenrothes to visit Sri Lanka. I'm proud to still be here, still involved in the forward-looking and exciting events of our town, Glenrothes. Now, sadly, it was necessary to open a food bank, but again our town, churches, shops and banks rose to the challenge, and it is never without gifts of food from all the earths.